Chronicle is filmed for Channel 5's viewing audience.
Looks like I'm early here at the bar. Might as well grab 2 seats. One for me, one for my friend. Oh, right. I have to make that call. I'm sure no one will mind. I'll just be a minute. Or 2. Or 10. Or 15. Seat saving, fair or faux pas. Founded in 1969 as the Bull and Finch Pub, Cheers is where everybody knows your name. But does everybody know proper etiquette when it comes to staking out a stool? We put it to a professional, bartender and manager, Ryan Miller.
Okay, I'm gonna fully admit I am one of those people when I go out to a bar, if my friend's within the vicinity, I put a bag, I put a coat on the stool next to me. What are your feelings about that?
It's fine. It's more of a time limit, you know? As long as you don't disappear and we don't see you for X amount of time, you know? But generally, if you're here, you have a seat at the bar, you have a drink, you're fine, you know? As long as you're kind of just not lingering or, you know, milking the clock a little bit. But.
And so you've been here for almost 20 years now?
That's correct, yes.
Have you ever had to ask someone to give up the seat? Say, hey, a couple hours have gone by, no one's sitting there? Have you ever had to?
Not necessarily, as long as they're still hanging out and they're a paying customer. We're not going to ask them to leave unless they need to leave, so, you know.
Being the friendly neighborhood bar, maybe Cheers isn't quite ready to crack down. But what do its patrons think about seat saving?
As long as a person is coming quickly. Shouldn't be done too long.
I do it, but I don't like it. I don't like other people to do it.
But how long do you think is an appropriate amount of time?
I would say 10 minutes or less.
And who better to weigh in on the saving of bar stools than the founder of a company called Barstool? How many seats is okay to save? Dave?
1 seat. Can't hold a whole row of them. 1 seat. 10 minutes.
Final ruling on seat saving, fair. For 1 stool for 10 minutes. Makes sense. After all, it's not the only place where taking up more than 1 chair is the norm.
Ah, the MBTA. The oldest subway system in America is 128 years young, and chances are the brave workers who built it would want passengers to make themselves comfortable, really spread out. Manspreading, fair or faux pas?
I think some people just take advantage of it. They don't really have any consideration for other people. They spread out their stuff. They don't move it. It's a different world lately.
No less an authority than the Oxford English Dictionary now offers a definition for manspreading: when a person sits with legs wide apart on public transport, encroaching on other seats.
What I find most annoying is people who will be sitting in the elderly spots, in the handicap spots, and if someone who comes up who needs that seat, they won't give the seat to them. So that's problematic.
So we asked Chief Operating Officer Ryan Caholan, what is the MBTA doing?
You know, the expectation is 1 rider per seat.
And is there any kind of penalty for non-compliance? Is it technically illegal, or could you bar them from the system or anything like that?
So there's no law, right? But let's get back to just basic human behavior and human courtesy.
Now we go back to our fair or faux pas judge, Barstool Sports owner Dave Portnoy. Is it ever okay to manspread on the tee?
You shouldn't enter somebody else's seat. I wouldn't do it, but I do think as long as you're within your seat width, you're okay.
The final ruling on manspreading? Faux pas. Any other subway pet peeves while we're at it?
People with smartphones not using earbuds or headphones. I love the fact that you like music. Maybe I don't like it as loud as you do.
Anything that produces crumbs is disgusting. If you're using a fork and a knife, if you're eating like a muffin that's falling all over the place, that's a no-go in my book.
And what would a show on New England etiquette be without taking it to the streets? Where do we stand on lane cutting?
One area that we do see a significant amount of lane cutting is the intersection or the off-ramp for Storrow Drive in North Station. A lot of times it's getting backed up going onto Storrow Drive, so people will go down the North Station exit, and they'll stay to the right, but in the very last second, they will cut back over into the lane of travel.
it leads to collisions and confrontations.
We've definitely seen an increase in road rage. Unfortunately, we've had lots of incidents where people have become violent. We've seen situations where people have actually fired weapons at other people, profanity, things that we've definitely seen a rise specifically in these high traffic areas.
So now we ask, lane cutting, fair, faux pas, or against the law?
I hate that. That's scumbag behavior. But I try my best, at risk of creating an accident, not to let them cut me off.
Cutting back in at the very last second, causing an unsafe lane change, is against the law. These are all civil motor vehicle violations, and they can range anywhere from $25 up to a couple $100.
So remember, if you cut the lane, you might also be cutting a check. Lots there. What do you think?
All right, lane cutting, no way.
Okay.
Man-spreading, that's just obnoxious. And bar stool saving, I think you have 10 minutes and you have to have at least one body there saving the seats. You can't just put your stuff down and walk away completely.
I'm with you. I'm one seat, 5 to 8 minutes max. I'm not going 10. That's too much. As for the man spreading, one bum, one seat, keep it clean. Come on, just be civil to each other. And finally, cutting the lane, absolutely a faux pas. Unless I'm running really, really late, and I will tell you right now, I'm very, very sorry.